Chapter 40, Introduction. "It's morning in America" was the slogan of Republican candidate Ronald Reagan in his 1980 presidential campaign. The 1980s were a new day for America's conservative right. And in this chapter you'll discover the 4 reasons why Reagan and the Republicans were so confident that this was true. Specifically, you'll learn the 6 reasons that Ronald Reagan was so well suited to lead this gathering crusade of conservative Americans. Even the Iranians, who referred to the United States as the Great Satan, did something extraordinary to honor Ronald Reagan on his inauguration day, while they still remained dedicated enemies of the United States. You'll learn what that was. Next, you'll learn what the 4 goals of the Reagan Revolution were, and how Reagan intended to achieve them. Then you'll learn how the Reagan Revolution was almost stopped in its tracks before it could get underway, and what the nation's response was to how Reagan handled the crisis. Reagan's first big challenge was the federal budget. Here you'll discover Reagan's school of Reaganomics, his plan to cut taxes for all Americans and still pile up surpluses in the Treasury. How could it be done? Naysayers said it couldn't be done. But Reagan took up the challenge and fought the battle of the banks to prove them wrong. You will learn his strategy and how well it succeeded, or didn't. Next, you'll learn what President Reagan's plans were for the country's most implacable adversary, the Soviet Union, and its brutish communist satellite states. Aside from confiding to his closest advisers that the plan was, "we win and you lose," how exactly did he plan to shovel the USSR and all its wicked and sleazy Warsaw Pact communist dictatorships, which collectively he called the Evil Empire, into the trash basket of history? You'll discover his plan. We next examine President Reagan's economic legacy at home, when all of this was in the rearview mirror. We know what his intentions were, and his plan was to create that legacy, but how close did he come to fulfilling it? Could he have done more? If so, how so? You'll get some insights right here. Next, we look at the religious right as a political and moral force in the Reagan Revolution. What part did they play? What did they believe? Why did they appear at this time in such force? How important were they in bringing to fruition the vision that Reagan had for the country? You'll find out right here. Moving then from the courts of the Most High to the Supreme Court and the judicial branch, what role did the judiciary play in supporting and implementing Reagan's vision? Or did they stand in the way? Here's where you learn how important the judicial branch can be. The election of 1988 unavoidably became a referendum on Reagan's presidency. What were the qualifications of the candidate the Republicans chose to fill Reagan's shoes? And big shoes they were. Did the Democrats have any chance of winning in 1988? The answer will be supplied. Why did the communist countries of Eastern Europe, and the USSR itself, fall apart under President George H.W. Bush's watch and not under Reagan's? What new and daunting challenges confronted the United States when it had to deal with the 15 separate countries that the old Soviet Union dissolved into? The answers are in this chapter. How did President George H.W. Bush's political vision differ from that of his boss, Ronald Reagan? He'd been Reagan's vice president. What phrase did he invent that summarized this view? Did his view change his policies and actions as president? Now you can find out. Who was Manuel Noriega? What happened to him? What message did President Bush send to the world as a result of what happened to Noriega? Do you think this message came from Bush's prior experience running the CIA? You'll get some clues in this chapter. On Bush's watch, the United States led a coalition of countries into the first Iraq War. Why did this happen? What was the plan of battle, and what was the outcome? It's all right here. Meanwhile, while that was going on, back on the home front, Bush acted on his campaign promise to help make the country a kinder and gentler America. What actions did he take to do this? Did America become a kinder and gentler country on his watch? You'll get these insights in this chapter, and much more.